Next, we have a request to appear made by Mr. Bill Toney regarding correspondence from Representative Yates. You got 15 minutes. State your name, please.
Bill Toney, 1652 Highway 155 North, McDonough, Georgia. I'd like to ask Leland Maddox and Milton McGarity to come up, please. I'm here this evening to address comments made by District 2 Commissioner Brian Preston during the last meeting on June the 2nd. At that meeting, Mr. Preston accused me of lying about personally meeting with Representative John Yates regarding my concerns about Senator Rick Jeffries serving on the Henry County Water Authority Board. Mr. Preston handed me a personal letter that was addressed to me from Mr. Yates. The letter was dated May the 11th. Mr. Preston admitted that he had been holding the letter for 3 weeks, claiming that he had not seen me to give it to me. Everyone knows that I give out my address, my name, every time I appear before this board. Even if Mr. Preston hadn't seen me, he could have mailed it to me. I checked with the federal crime, as a federal crime to obstruct or interfere with the delivery of any person's mail. That's federal statute 18 USC 1702. So the letter and envelope was open, and it was clear that Mr. Preston had made a copy of the letter, even though the letter does not indicate that Mr. Yates intended for Mr. Preston to have a copy of it. Although the letter took me by surprise, I told y'all that I would be back with proof that I did meet with Mr. Yates. I told y'all that I went to Representative Yates' office with 4 other gentlemen, and we discussed Senator Jeffries serving on the Water Authority Board. I've got 3 of the gentlemen here. The 4th one is running a little late on us. After the meeting, I contacted Representative Yates, longtime Secretary Delane Roberts, and reminded her who I was. When we all met at the Capitol, she remembered everything about it. I also spoke to Mr. Yates, and I met with Representative Yates. It was only my 2nd time ever meeting with him. Mr. Yates signed a new letter correcting the letter that Mr. Preston had. I would like to show you the letter now. I'd like for, if I can approach, I'd like for Mr. Preston.
To whom it may concern, this letter is clarifying and correcting my letter of May 11th regarding Mr. Bill Toney. I have recently had my memory refreshed after speaking with my staff, who reminded me that I did meet with Mr. Toney and 4 other individuals from Henry County during his past legislative session. This meeting took place in my office at the state capitol. During this meeting, I was asked the question whether it was proper for Senator Rick Jeffries to serve on the Henry County Water Authority Board. Representative Yates called an attorney from their legislative counsel office for advice. Legislative counsel did provide his thoughts on the matter. I hope this letter clears up any confusion. I meet with many people in my office, and when Senator Jeffries contacted me about Bill Toney, I didn't recall who he was, as I have never met Mr. Toney before. Now I recall meeting Mr. Toney in my office. Sincerely, John Yates.
Thank you, sir. I have affidavits from 3 of the gentlemen. The 4th one, like I said, he's running late, so I hope this clarifies everything that you had. Now, I did not give out the legislative council's name who gave his opinion at the last meeting. Commissioner Preston stated that discipline would be imposed. I'm not going to help Mr. Preston go after an attorney who's just doing his job by giving his professional legal opinion. We know how that works out. My motives at the June 2nd meeting, Commissioner Preston questioned my motives. He stated that I didn't live in his district and asked why did I care about who he appointed to the Water Authority Board. First of all, a citizen of this county, I have the First Amendment right to come before and speak to you about public concern. It is my constitutional right to do the same. Second, we have 1 county, not 6. Just because you're a district commissioner does not mean that your public actions can't be questioned. Your actions as a district commissioner can and do affect the entire county. Third, the Water Authority is a county-wide utility department. Every property owner in this county pays 2 mills of tax to fund the Water Authority. I own property throughout the county, rental properties throughout the county. I pay 2 mills of tax for the Water Authority on every single piece of property that I own. Commissioner Preston, I have every reason to care about who serves on the Water Authority Board, and I have a constitutional right to state my concerns in a public setting. At the June 2nd meeting, Commissioner Preston questioned my integrity by saying that I had a conflict of interest because I previously ran for political office and might possibly run for political office in the future. He even went as far as to bring up my family members, all in an attempt to try to discredit me. I have 2 words for Mr. Preston: aqua genesis. I would like to show the certificate of aquagenesis. I would like to show the certificate of aquagenesis called Aquagenesis. The company was created in 2007. Rick Jeffries is the CEO and Brian Preston is CFO. Secretary of this for-profit corporation. Commissioner Preston is business partners with Rick Jeffries. To my knowledge, Mr. Preston has never disclosed this business relationship at any time he was appointing Senator Jeffries to the Water Authority. I think this board should decide if ethics charges should be brought against Mr. Preston under the county ethics ordinance. Aquagenesis was administratively dissolved in 2011. It is my understanding that this only means that the annual registration fee has not been paid. If the fees are paid up, then Aquagenesis can be back up and running in no time. Now, before Mr. Preston became county commissioner in 2012, he was a member of the Board of Education. In fact, he served as chairman. Since Aquagenesis was up and running in 2007 through 2011, Mr. Preston was required to disclose his business interests to the State Ethics Commission. According to Mr. Preston, 2010 financial disclosure statement, which was filed April 11, 2011, Aquagenesis was never disclosed by Mr. Preston, who was on the school board at that time. I would like to show pages from this document that can be found online. By the way, Rick Jeffries in 2009, disclosure does mention aquagenesis. From where I stand, Mr. Preston may have violated not only the county ethics ordinance, but also the state ethics rule as well. In conclusion, I've come before this board as a citizen of this county. I have constitutional right to speak on these matters of public concern. As a citizen, I should not have my motives or integrity questioned simply because you don't like what I have to say. When citizens are bullied and attacked by public officials simply because we exercise our First Amendment rights, it's time to get new public officials. All I have ever asked for y'all to do is do the right thing. Be open, honest, and transparent. Thank you very much.
Do you want to make a comment or you want to dialogue?
No, it's not a dialogue. I just want to explain what aquagenesis is.
And you can have a comment. That works for you?
Yeah, that's fine. Thank you, sir.
This is a code of ethics.
Thank you.